talking about the balance between the masculine and the feminine energies within our world. It's something that I've observed recently is just how much that dominant masculine is trying to hang on to control.
That's right.
It appears to me that it's kind of females and women are being pushed to kind of be more masculine, and it's being disguised as feminism, but a lot of it is just kind of encouraging women to be more masculine and not be feminine.
Classic. When I was, I grew up in the 70s and I went to university in the 70s. That was the time of Germaine Greer. I don't know if you know about her.
Yeah.
She was the first one to sort of burn the bra and pronounce feminism and the equality of women. And in those days, because it was naive at the beginning of this movement, women believed that in order to be equal to men, they had to become men. And so they started wearing dungarees, cutting their hair short, acting really butch, and doing all of that, which is understandable because it was a naive attempt at equality, but completely missing the point.
Yes.
Because a woman is a woman and a man is a man.
Yes.
For a woman to become a man is just, well, even though today with LGBTQ XYZ, it's been compounded even to the point of absurdity.
Yes.
But let's just stay with that example. To become a man was missing the point. The whole point about men and women is that they are different. They are complements.
Yeah, they're two halves to one whole.
And exactly. And the woman is feminine and the masculine is masculine. And the dance that happens between them of yin and yang, of up and down, in and out, right and wrong, good and evil, is the whole duality we experience in this third dimensional plane. And so it's at absolutely the very core of our experience of navigating through this experience that we call life. But at the very core of it is this polarity of masculine and feminine. And so the way of true liberation, which I believe is happening more now in the feminist movement, is for women to claim their femininity and for men to claim their masculinity. Another one of my great teachers was a man called David Deida. He was a tantric teacher, and if anybody is interested in looking him up, he's an amazing person. He talked about the masculine and feminine having to empower each other. So, he says what's happening in our world today is that you see women who can only really be fulfilled when the masculine is really holding them and really being present and really be serving the feminine. That's the masculine's nature, is deep fulfillment for a masculine is to fully serve the feminine. He'll climb like the hero's journey.
Yeah, save
he'll
the princess.
climb mountains. Yeah, save the princess. Exactly. He'll do anything to do that. So it's service. So, but for the woman to be fully opened, as a flower can open, she needs to be loved with totality, and she needs to be accepted in all of her light and dark characteristics. And what classically happens in a relationship in modern day times is, it's all hunky-dory when we project onto the other, wow, I'm in love with you, it's all beautiful, there's this incredible hormonal sort of high that you're on as you fall in love, and, the whole masculine, feminine dance happens. But in the moment, Kali, she's Aphrodite then suddenly Kali comes into the story, and her shadow shows the man classically runs for shelter, and so she feels like, oh, I'm abandoned, I'm not being held. And so she starts to put on this masculine shell. So she goes, oh, well, I can't trust my man to be around. I can't trust him to bring home the bacon or get the buffalo and bring it home, which is the primal energy between them. So naturally, I'm going to have to take responsibility for looking after myself. And so slowly this masculine shell occurs over the deep feminine. And so you get women going off into a big business suit in New York, doing business, fighting it out, hardcore business with all of the other men. And there's nothing wrong with that in itself. But what happens is there's a strangulation of the deep feminine, and also the polarity between the man and the woman starts to diminish. Let me break it down into 3 stages. the way that a relationship between a man and a woman can be seen is stage one, which is more like how my parents operated. Like the man goes out, earns the money, woman stays at home, does the dishes, cooks for the kids, looks after, clean, has the food on the table for the hubby when he comes home, and they make love and it's all good. But the man is away during the day, the woman's there with the kids. And I mean, that worked. That worked for that generation. The polarity was good and strong. The masculine was going out there, getting the buffalo, bringing it home. The woman was getting her love and her joy and her blissful radiance to nurture the masculine. But then what happened in my generation, stage two relating, was that we said that's really kind of like a little polarized and kind of like a little unfair. Like, should the woman have to stay at home and do all that sort of humdrum work? Why can't she also have a job? Why can't she also have her own bank account, not just be dependent upon the male to dole it out? Why can't the masculine also look after the kids every now and then and do the dishes and take care of the cleaning? And so my generation went, yeah, that's good. That seems fair. So we did that. We started to become more egalitarian, become more fair, like, okay, I have my own individuality, you have yours, but we come together as a unit. We may be married, but I'm still going to look after the kids. You can have a side job and do that. And it was a bit of an advancement from stage one. It was a good, more egalitarian way to be, and took care of the emerging personality or the individuation of both the masculine and feminine. But what happened as a result of that? The polarity that was there in the first stage started to diminish, become more neutral. And what happened was couples started to spend a lot of time processing. Like they're going, I need you to hear me. I want this and this and this, and I'm entitled to that. And the other person would say, yes, I know, and I think that's fair, and this is fair. And they started to work it out, like working on these contracts. But guess what? Lovemaking stopped. Suddenly their polarity became neutral as they became more equal, and the juiciness, the kind of thing where the wild man comes and ravishes the woman and completely makes love from that higher place disappeared. And it was more like, oh, no, I'm not up for it now because I just don't have the energy. And, because they became more equal, and the polarity diminished. So what David Deida was teaching was that we need to reclaim our masculinity, and that women need to reclaim their femininity, because what's happening is men have this feminine shell over them. Oh, I should be more, more kind of like subjective, more empathetic. I should feel into this more. And rightly so. We did need to bring up our feminine side, because we each have a masculine and feminine side, but not to the expense of diminishing our polarity. And that's the side effect of what's happened. So the new way of being that I see is the way through is to come back to establishing that a man is a masculine, that a woman is feminine, but that they are equal in their differences, and that the masculine absolutely requires the feminine, and vice versa, in order to become a totality within the unit. And that can be done by that women can still absolutely have a job, and men and women can still share the chores of either going out and getting the bacon or being at home taking care of the kids, but they need to be able to drop that mantle of the overlaid masculine or feminine shell and put it aside when they're in their personal relating, so that man takes responsibility for kind of like the kind of things that a masculine does, which is being decisive, organizing things for the feminine, serving the feminine, so the feminine can feel held, can feel supported, can feel nourished, so that she can give her true gift, which is her incredible effulgence, her essence, her radiance, which most women never give because they don't fully trust the masculine. In other words, the masculine has to earn the trust of the woman, and the woman will test the masculine by showing up as Carly, by being a harridan. And if the masculine runs in the other direction, then she's going to go, just as I thought, he can't be trusted. So I got to get it together. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And hence they can still be together, but the respect and the working together as the polarity of masculine and feminine doesn't operate at its highest potential. But the moment we consciously become aware of, okay, we can share everything, but in the bedroom and at home and the way we conduct our lives, I'm going to hold the masculine and she's going to hold the divine feminine. This can happen between same-sex couples as well, where one, in all, again, for the polarity to be there, one has to be predominantly masculine, one has to be predominantly feminine. Otherwise, again, there's this neutral ground, which is kind of asexual. And for the juice and for the gifting of the sexual, energy and the gift and the vitality of life, we need to have this strong polarity. It's just like two magnets. Once they become depolarized, there's no attraction. And so we need to keep this attraction alive whilst at the same time evolving beyond stereotypical kind of role playing that my parents used to have to be in, which was also unsatisfactory to them. It was also very limiting to be in that. My mother particularly felt restrained in her role as the woman in that kind of thing because women weren't allowed to do certain things, and so on and so forth. But that should be lifted. But we need to remember that we are polar, complementary, not opposites, complementaries.
Yes.
And if this is a part of our spiritual practice, if it's brought into the relationship, into our relating, that we consciously embody the masculine as men, and that we consciously embody, that women consciously embody the divine feminine as a woman. And that needs to be nurtured by the feminine. So there's women's business and men's business. Men come together to amplify and to validate the masculine in each other, and they have their ways of doing that. And women also come together and nourish and support and amplify the divine feminine, like a woman might join a group of temple dancing, or, beautification, or some interest that requires the feminine to be fully come to the fore, where they can feel fully validated and nourished within the feminine, and similarly so for the masculine. And then when the masculine and feminine comes together within the personal relationship, it's just so much more juicy, so much more alive, so much more vivid than the kind of depolarized, neutral, kind of like fair relating that is passed off as modern day kind of like, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, quality. So it's a big topic, and I've only just covered the very superficial kind of extrapolation of how this can evolve. But I do think that it's at the heart of everything we've been speaking about today, and that it's the redressing this imbalance of the male dominator energy with the divine feminine, which is, admirably expressed through the use of psychedelics and in other ways, of course, to bring the masculine and the feminine into balance, into the rightful honoring of each other for the qualities that they each exemplify and embody. Not that one has to copy the other in order to feel equal, And so this is at the heart of it, and this is the spiritual practice that all couples, conscious couples, are required to adopt in these times.
And it's a dance.
One way or the other. Yeah, it's a dance.
Man, that's some good stuff right there, man.